Hello Internet, and welcome to another episode of VGC Basics. Today we will be talking about team building and what are the basic functions of team building and how you would necessarily start building your own Pokemon teams. First thing we'll talk about is team composition. What that actually means is what kind of types of Pokemon are you adding to your teams. So basically there are really three types of Pokemon. There are the sweepers, which just hit hard, hit fast. And most of the time you simply invest in speed and attack or special attack. And in the case of Trick Room, instead of investing in speed because the slower Pokemon go first, you would invest in HP or defense or special defense instead. But yeah, so Trick Room sweepers tend to be much bulkier since you don't have to invest in speed. But they're harder to use because you have to set up Trick Room in order to get them to where they are fast. The next type of Pokemon are support Pokemons, and they help the sweepers get KOs with support moves, with status conditions, which we'll talk about soon. And then there are the blue Pokemon, which just bind the other Pokemon on your team together and have multiple sets that you can run, which can either be sweepers or it can be defensive. Next thing we'll talk about is synergy. Synergy is when two Pokemon work together and cover each other's weaknesses. A great example of that is Clefairy and Porygon Z. Porygon Z is a normal type, therefore it is weak to fighting, and Clefairy is a fairy type, therefore it is resistant to fighting. So when you want to use super effective attacks on Porygon Z, Clefairy can just say no and use follow me, and then not very effective attacks go into Clefairy and then protect the Porygon Z. So these are things you have to take into account. Let's say you have Pokemon on your team that are weak to rock types, so then you could cover it with a Pokemon that is resistant to rock types and has moves that can KO rock types. So these are things you have to take into account, and you have to have multiple modes of play and multiple options. You always want to have as many options as possible because Pokemon is all about strategy, and if you only have one option, it's not very good, and your opponent can figure out that one option and therefore adapt. So I wrote not Dracovish because Dracovish is probably the most one-dimensional Pokemon in the metagame right now, and it simply uses Choice Band or Choice Scarf, and you click Vicious Rend to do a stupid amount of damage. What you also want to know about your teams when you're making them is, okay, which two Pokemon can I send out as a lead? Which two Pokemon can I have in the back that are reliable, that I know that work, and that I'm comfortable with, and I know that they cover each other and they're a good setup. So you always want to be comfortable with your teams, and you want to know what each of your Pokemon does in the team lineup. Next thing I want to talk about is speed control. Speed control is very important, especially in this generation, because speed mechanics have been changed. How have they been changed? Well, in generation 1 through 7, if you used a move that increased your speed on the turn, or increased your partner's speed, it would only take into effect the next turn. But in this generation, and I'm assuming future generations, obviously, if you change the speed order mid-turn, then it takes into effect immediately. So dynamic speed changing. So who goes first can obviously determine everything, because if you move first and you KO their Pokemon didn't even get to move. So that's a big difference. Things that can affect that are Max Airstream, which increase your speed and your partner's speed by 1. Max Strike, which decreases both your opponent's speed by 1. Tailwind, which doubles your side of the field speed for 4 turns. Trick Room, which reverses the speed order for 5 turns. Speed Swap, you usually use with Pokemon like Rabombi, which are really fast, and then not so fast Pokemon, because what it does is it exchanges the stats. So you get Rabambi's speed stat, and Rabambi gets your other Pokemon's speed stat. Unburden is an ability that if you use your item, then your speed gets doubled. So things like Grassy Seed, Hitmonlee, or Hawlucha, or Drifblim, those things were very common back in Series 5. I could say like that's in the past now. Bulldoze is a ground type move that hits everyone on the field and decreases speed by 1 stage. So there are a lot of strategies revolving around Dusclops who gets that, with weakness policy and even Lash Out, which doubles in base power if your stats are lowered that turn. And there's also Curse, which is a status move. What it does is it's a ghost type move, and if you're not a ghost type, then your attack and defense go up by 1, and your speed goes down by 1. So you should always really know who's going first on your side and on your opponent's side, because if you know the speed order, you know you can predict who's going to attack who, and prioritize who you need to protect and who you need to attack that turn. Next thing we'll talk about is move choice. There are basically 3 types of moves. There are attacking moves, and there are support moves, and then there is protect. So attacking moves, there are 2 types of attacking moves. There's same type attack bonus, which means if you have a normal type, then your normal moves get a 1.5 times boost in base power. And if you have the ability adaptability, then they're actually ×2. And that's why Porygon Z is super strong. And then there are coverage. So let's say you're a fire type and you're weak to water. So if you have a grass move, then that's coverage, because it covers your weaknesses. And then you have support moves. So there are many different types of support moves, and they can affect anything from stats to move limitation. I'm just going to name a few. Charm is lowers your attack by 2 stages, so you would want to use that on the opposing Pokemon. Fake Tears lowers your special defense by 2 stages. These 2 moves were actually used by Whimsicott a lot because it has Prankster, so therefore it would go first. And then your partner Pokemon would then attack the Pokemon that just got Fake Tears with a special move, and then it was easily KO'd. Bulk Up is a move that increases your attack and defense by 1 stage, and Iron Defense is a move that increases your defense by 2 stages. There are also HP status moves, or support moves, like Roost, Leech Seed, Strength Stat, and Floral Healing. These moves will increase your HP and sometimes have a secondary effect. Leech Seed, if it goes onto a Pokemon on the opposing side and saps away 1/16 of their HP every turn. But if they switch out, it gets rid of it. Strength Sap is a very interesting move, actually. It takes the opponent's attack stat and gives you that amount of health back and lowers their attack by 1 stage. Floral Healing is the signature move of Comfey, and since Comfey has the ability Triage, which gives it healing moves priority, so you have priority healing, and that's why Comfey is actually really, really good, especially now because things like Cinderace and Rillaboom are actually banned. Then there are redirection moves. Redirection is very good in any metagame because it says to the opponent, you can't attack my sweeper, you have to attack my defensive Pokemon. So things like Follow Me and Rage Powder are very, very good. That's why Togekiss is so good, because it can run a lot of different sets and also has Follow Me. Then there's Ally Switch, which is another version of redirection, which just switches the places, because in VGC, if you attack a certain slot, then it automatically goes in that slot, unless you have an ability that ignores redirection. And the only 2 Pokemon that ignore redirection right now are Veriscuda and Duraludon, so most Pokemon do not ignore redirection. Then there are status moves, which give Pokemon statuses. We'll talk about statuses in a minute, but statuses are very, very good because they do a lot of things. Then there's move limitation, like Taunt, which causes Pokemon to only be able to use attacking moves. So Taunt can shut down Pokemon like Clefairy, which normally don't run any good attacking moves, or Dusclops, which the only real attacking move that it usually runs is Nightshade, which does the same amount of damage as your level, which is 50 in VGC because all Pokemon are level 50. And then there's Imprison, which was used on Indeedee Mail a lot, Imprison and Trick Room, because what Imprison does is it says that if you have the same moves as my Pokemon that uses Imprison, you can't use them unless I switch out or my Pokemon faints. And then Encore causes you to use the same move for 4 turns, or 5 turns, I believe. So that's good, unless you switch out. Next thing is status conditions. So status conditions are very, very good. Some of them are the ones in bold are permanent, and the ones on the bottom over here are not. So if you switch out with the 2 bottom ones, then it'll get rid of it, but the other ones are permanent. Well, burn is very good because what burn does is actually halves your attack and does damage to you every single turn. So if you have a that's why Arcanine is very good, because it has Intimidate, which lowers the attack stats of both the opposing Pokemon, and it's very fast, and it learns Will-O-Wisp, which is an 85% chance to burn. So things like that are very good, because if you burn a physical attacking Pokemon, then it basically halves their attack stat, and since Arcanine is very fast, most of the time it can get a burn off before the opposing Pokemon can attack, so it's nice. Paralysis has been buffed this generation because it decreases the Pokemon that has paralysis by 50% speed, and not 33%, I believe. And you have a 25% chance to not move at all. So paralysis is very, very good. Sleep is super good because you're simply immobile for up to 3 turns, and that's why Amogus is so good, because it has Spore, which is a 100% accurate sleep move, and being asleep for 3 turns in this kind of metagame that is super, super fast is very, very detrimental to your play. Frozen you don't see a lot because you only really see ice moves on things like Lapras with Ice Beam that have a 10% chance to freeze, so it's very, very rare. But if you get frozen, that's very, very bad for you because you only have a 20% chance to thaw unless you use a move that with heat, like any fire move, and I believe also a few others like Scald and Scorching Sands, because they have heat, so it makes sense that you would thaw out from being frozen. Poison you don't see so much in VGC, neither Toxic, because since these games are so fast, you don't really have to stall. And even if you do run a stall team in VGC, they're usually not very good. The only stall kind of teams that you see in VGC are actually Perish Trap teams, and even then they only last 3 turns, because Perish Song, what it does is all the Pokemon on the field will faint after 3 turns. So if you're facing only 2 Pokemon left on the opposing side, and you use Perish Song, so they have 3 turns, and you really limited them. If you switch out though, it avoids the Perish Song. So yeah, Confusion is mostly seen on Gmax Hatterene, because Gmax Hatterene's Gmax move, Gmax Smite, as a lot of Gmaxes, actually confuses both opposing Pokemon, and it's pretty good because it gives you a 50% chance to hit yourself. Also, it's good because it doesn't overwrite the Psychic Terrain of Indeedee, which it was most oftenly paired with, where the regular max move, Max Fairy, Max Starfall, it's called, would cause Misty Terrain, sorry, and therefore would overwrite the Psychic Terrain. Attract you really never see in VGC. It's more of a meme move, but it only works if you're the opposite gender of the Pokemon that you're facing, and it gives you a 50% chance not to attack. I believe Gmax Eevee's max move does it. I think it's called Gmax Cuddle. Yeah. But you never see Gmax Eevee anyway, so you don't have to worry about Attract in VGC really. Oh, Toxic. Sorry, I didn't mention Toxic, but it's basically the same as Poison. You can't really get Toxic in VGC because unless you're running Toxic, I don't know why you would run Toxic, because as I said, the games are just so fast, so you're not even gonna get a chance to stall out your opponent because of Dynamax and the fact that Dynamax can hit through Protect. Okay, next thing I'll talk about is actually, we'll go back to move choice, and we'll talk about Protect. So, a lot of people ask me, why do you run Protect on your Pokemon and not just 4 attacking moves? Well, the reason why is because Protect can actually save you and actually win you the game. I can't even tell you how many times using Protect has actually won me the game. Because if you can predict your opponent to target your Pokemon and then protect your Pokemon and have your other Pokemon KO that Pokemon that's threatening you as of that moment, then that's a huge win on your side. Sorry, let me just take a drink. Ugh. Whenever I do these monologues, even in school when I would record for notes or something, my throat always gets like super dry. Now I understand all those YouTubers who whip out water bottles and like G Fuel. They're always sipping G Fuel. G Fuel, if you want to sponsor me, I'm down. As I said, Protect is very good, but Protect actually got nerfed in this generation and last generation because Z moves and Dynamax moves can hit through Protect. I believe they do 25%. Don't quote me on that. I think they do 25% through Protect. I'm not sure. Might do half. But actually, Protect also got nerfed this generation because of Urshifu. Urshifu, its ability is Unseen Fist, and what that does is all moves that are contact moves hit through Protect, even if you Protect. So that's why Urshifu is very good. And Urshifu's max move, its G-Max move, actually hits through even Max Guard. So, big nerfs to Protect in this generation. Alright, I'm just going to end off with how to start. Number 1, just do it. Seriously, just start. And you can never really go wrong. And if you do go wrong, then you learn from it and you adjust. And you use the damage calculator to perfect your team and your EVs and IVs and all that. And if you don't like a Pokemon, then you replace it with a different Pokemon that can fulfill a similar niche. And there are really 3 ways to build Pokemon teams. Number 1, which I like to do most of the time, is I like to just pick a Pokemon and say, okay, I like this Pokemon, I know it's good, I'm just going to build around it and build Pokemon with to support this Pokemon. So let's say I have Durant. Durant is a Bug Steel and it's 4 times weak to fire. So therefore I'm going to want a Water type to cover or a Rock type to cover. And you just build upon that. And there are and you can add in strategies. So there are also number 2 is there are strategies that you could just build upon, like let's say beat up strategy or the Surf Colossal strategy, or weakness policy strategies, anything like that. Take a strategy, build around it, and say, oh, I want this strategy to succeed, so how can I support that with other Pokemon? And then obviously you can just make your own strategy, which honestly, in my opinion, is the hardest way of doing it. But if you watch other people for inspiration, you could get an epiphany and then say, oh, I figured out how to do this, and if I use this Pokemon that has these specific moves, then I can pull off this strategy. That's when you roll into gimmicky territory, and most of the time gimmicky strategies don't work, so usually try for strategies that you know are good and you know that work. But the last thing I want to say is to just have fun, because if you don't have fun doing it, then what's the point? And even if you're in like a tournament setting and it's super intense, you should just have fun and choose your moves slowly. I always choose my moves so fast, and then it bites me in the butt afterwards. It's so annoying. But you just have to chill and have fun. Well, that's it for this video. Please like, subscribe, share, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.